The concept of the guna look at the three qualities of nature, and we experience these three qualities within ourselves and within our lives, and also with the interactions with other people in our relationships. And they're based on that recognition of the sattvic, the rajasic, and the tamasic qualities within nature. And the tamasic qualities is where we can feel a real sense of inertia, a bit lackluster, not particularly inspired, feeling overwhelmed, and so we tend to withdraw, or not really feeling as if you're leaning into anything that makes you feel alive. And so as a result of that, instead of conscious rest or conscious being, the tamasic state can often make us feel quite flat. That can also feel when you've been at home for a little bit too long, you haven't interacted with other people, you can actually start to feel really quite flat and you feel ready to interact with the world again. That's a tamasic quality. And that can also be seen in our practice where we just feel that we're just not inspired to practice, or maybe practices that you had done 5 years ago really serve you, but they just don't serve you anymore. And so it doesn't give you any sense of impetus to want to keep working with those practices. You might also see this on the yoga mat, where as you arrive for practice, you sort of think, oh, look, I'm here because I've booked in, or I don't really feel I've got the energy. And so you already start with that sense of inertia. And so that's that real feeling of not being vital. The opposite of that, of course, is the rajasic quality. And this is where it's just too much of anything, overdoing, overstimulated, having a schedule that's stretched right from early in the morning until late into the evening, not feeling as if there's any time. This can also be seen in your practice as always going for the most challenging posture, not resting when the body is asking you to rest. Or it might be doing too many hours of practice and not really a balance of using the insights of that practice to then be in the world and be in the relationship with others. And then in the middle of that is what we're really all aiming for. And this is the sattvic quality. And this is that middle way. It's not too much, and it's not too little. And we always strive for this sense of balance. And I think balance is a concept that can be really deceiving, because balance isn't something that we arrive at and that all of our ducks in a row and everything's placed. Balance is actually something that is always oscillating and moving. It's always trying to find its way back to center again. And as we find this sattvic balance, we then find that we have the energy that we need to do what we need to do and to be present with what we're doing without feeling drained or overwhelmed. And it also helps us move out of that feeling of that tamasic sense of inertia. And often with that inertia, we actually find that just walking in nature is enough to get that sense of vitality and prana moving again. So as we move through life, this concept of balance is always coming up. It's always something that we lean into and we stay aware of. We're looking at our schedule. We're looking at how we spend our time. We're looking at areas of our lives that fill us with energy and areas of our lives that don't serve us. And then we make conscious decisions as we move from there. So as in with nature, we have storms, but we don't have storms all of the time, every day, every night. Rain, it'll come, but it'll go. Sunshine, it'll come, but then we'll have the moon. So nature is always showing us that we're always in transit. We're always in constant sense of movement. So if you feel that you're finding yourself cyclically in that sort of samsaric way, always finding yourself overstretched, overwhelmed, doing too much, let that be a teaching for you. Sit with that and ask, why is that a trait of mine? What belief system do I have around always doing? And how can I look at changing that and reframing that? So rather than seeing that as a criticism of the self, see that behavior is simply asking you to sit with what's here, what's needing to shift and what's needing to change. And my feeling is that way of being aware and conscious and leaning into that process of inquiry is actually something that we need to do quite consistently as we move through our lives, as we change, as our commitments change. So always lean into these shifts. Practice is there as a mirror to reflect back where you're at and what you're needing. And just always know that these three qualities are always constantly in oscillation. When you need to really give energy, give that, but then counterbalance that with some conscious rest, and rest that isn't depleting, but rest that ultimately gives back. And particularly if you're an introvert, having that quiet time in refuge of practice is just a great way to feel ready to go back out into the world again. I hope that you found that helpful and that you can apply that to your own life. Namaste.